Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Milsurp World, the podcast all about military surplus. This is your host, Aaron. I'd like to start off today with an apology. We've been a little bit behind on getting out some podcasts to you guys. This is mostly due to me. I screwed up the audio on our last podcast, and it really thrown us for a loop. But hopefully in the future we can not do that anymore. Joining me today is going to be Danny and Dan. Would you guys like to do a little intro?
Sure, I'm Dan. Hey, everybody.
There's Dan and Danny. We'll keep them separated like that.
I'm sure we're not going to confuse anybody ever.
No, I know. Well, you got totally different sounding voices, so I think we'll be okay. Well, we usually start off with what we've purchased recently. Danny, have you had any purchases recently?
Yes, I am holding my recent purchase in my hand right now. Not so much a purchase as it is a trade.
He's lovingly stroking it.
Oh yes,
he's stroking it.
I'm stroking this wood in my hands right now. This stock is quite beautiful. On this, I got a new Swedish M94 Carbine. I traded a gun that I got a fantastic deal on, and it just happened to be this guy at the gun show that just really wanted that gun, and I kind of worked with him for a while on the trade with this thing, and we finally made an agreement. And pretty happy. So like all of the numbers match on this M94, except for one number. The butt plate doesn't match. But it's pretty sweet, and it comes with an original sling. So a lot of people don't know that Swedish carbines like have its own specific sling, and you can tell like it's an original sling because it'll have 25 holes in the sling. So and the guy didn't know that this was an original sling, and they're pretty expensive. They're like a $200 sling just like on its own. So. Anyway, I'm pretty happy with this.
That is cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and M94s are pretty sweet because the barrels are just like at 16 inches pretty much, or maybe like 17 inches. So it's about as short as you can really have it, and pretty much want a little Mauser carbine to be. But the Swede's in 6.5, so it doesn't beat you up like a lot of the other Mausers do in 8mm and stuff like that. So. Like I just recently shot my G3340 in 8mm, and that gun will really beat you up, and it's not a pleasant gun to shoot. But the M94s, because of the 6.5, they're really pretty pleasant shooters.
Well, Dan, have you had any recent purchases?
Actually, yeah, but it's not Milsurp. So I was going around and looking at all the local shops, and found a really, really weird shotgun. It's called a VRBP 100, and it's a...
What? I'm going to have to Google that.
It's a bullpup shotgun, and it's really cool. I'd never even heard of it, but I saw it, and it was not that expensive. So I bought it.
Huh. Yeah, wow, I'm looking at it right now. It takes a box magazine behind the pistol grip, because it's a shotgun. It's semi-automatic, I'm guessing? Right?
Yep.
Whoa, that is a futuristic-looking gun. I'm looking at it. It looks like something straight out of, like, Starship Troopers or something.
That's exactly what I thought. I looked at it and thought Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
But I just got it 2 days ago. And I'm going to take it to the range next weekend. But,
yeah, sweet.
Yeah, that's my most recent purchase.
Wow, I see it's been discontinued as far as production goes.
I know nothing about it other than it looks cool.
Well, it appears to be produced by Rock Island.
The one that I just saw had like Turkey, something like
yes,
made in Turkey.
It's made in Turkey and was imported by Rock Island.
So it probably got stopped.
Maybe it's not. There's different places. There's different places. Maybe they just have some and some they don't have in others. I don't know. Interesting, though. Definitely futuristic.
I can tell you it feels nice. Yeah. Hopefully next time I'll have a range report.
Well, it looks like there's a bunch of YouTube videos in April of this year, so it probably just came out.
As I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, it looks like it came out in April. You're definitely one of the first people to own it, I would say.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool, like, non-Milsurp guns coming out there, and I kind of get out of the loop. I feel like an old-timer sometimes. I'm kind of out of the loop with a lot of these new guns that are being made or manufactured and stuff like that, because I stay in old stuff most of the time, but there's some, they're just like that shotgun. There's some cool things going on out there. A lot of cool AKs and stuff being made recently.
I am finding something, Dan, and it says that it's compatible with the 9-round and 19-round VR series magazines.
Yeah, that 19-round one looks pretty ridiculous.
It is gigantic. It looks like a joke.
It looks like a joke, but it's not. That's going to be my bedside gun. 19 rounds.
That is so unwieldy looking. That is
just
ridiculous.
don't go prone.
You couldn't.
No, you could. You'd have to lower the gun sideways.
I don't even know if you could sit down and shoot with that thing.
Well, I didn't really purchase anything, but I did some trades, and I have 3 new M95s, and 2 more on the way. So I'll be up to a grand total of 6 M95s by the time this trade's done, and then another Mannlicher 1886. So I am fully specializing into Mannlicher now,
nice.
Guys. Oh, and I forgot, one of the ones I traded for is a long rifle M95, converted to 8x56R, so not super special, but still pretty fun.
Yeah, you know what? I think I would rather have a... if I was only going to have one M95, I would say it would be a long rifle N56R, just because it's way easier and cheaper to shoot. And it's not a cheap gun to shoot at all, but it's still way easier to find ammo for it than 8x50. So that's a good one.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, totally not. But it's just, I don't have any 8x50Rs, so it's obviously something I need to focus on whenever I can, but it's hard to find them. Well, that's all I've had done recently.
Yeah.
Danny, what's our topic for today?
So for today, I think it'd be cool if we all just talked about like our top 5 favorite Milsurps. So I think we're gonna have to narrow these down to specific models, because I was thinking about it, and that's like, do you just say like my number whatever is all Mausers? But I think we should just do specific models, and it could just like all 5 could all be different model variants, because there's so much variation within like each family, I'm like just like with the Mannlichers and stuff like that. So we're just gonna pick our top 5 favorite Milsurp models. So in my head, I was thinking like if I could only own 5 Milsurps, like I think these would be it.
Well, I get what you're saying. So I didn't go that route in my decision making. My decision making was based on guns that I have owned and that I've handled personally. I don't want to speculate on something that I don't have. So these are the top 5 for me personally that I have owned and have shot, or not necessarily have shot. Some of them I haven't shot, but these are the ones that I have owned. So that's why I wanted first-hand experience for picking these.
Huh? Yeah, I just thought. Yeah, I guess I just realized one of them on my top 5 I haven't shot yet.
Well, that's fine. I mean, you could still appreciate it for its looks and design and the oddity of it or whatever, you know what I mean?
So this isn't just favorite rifles, it's favorite rifles of yours.
Well, no, it doesn't have to be. That's how I approached it, but this is just my example from what I've done. I couldn't say... I mean, I could say, like, the FG42 is one of my favorite designs, and that's true. But I've never actually seen one, and I've never held one, and maybe when I have done that, I would actually hate it. I don't know. So, I think it's a neat idea, neat design, and neat concept, but maybe it's not so much fun in person. Every time I've seen a video of it, it seems like it's hilariously awesome. But
I can tell you a little bit about it. Hey, Dan, have you ever shot an FG42?
I have not. I haven't even seen a real one in person.
I mean, I haven't seen a real one, but I've seen the reproductions and shot one of those.
I handled one at a gun show. I haven't shot it.
You both have gotten closer than me, obviously.
So with that muzzle brake on that gun, it is pretty astounding. So I was at an outdoor range that was it was under a roof, and it really just like reverberated this huge concussion. It was one of those guns that just like you shoot it and everyone's like whoa. It sucks to be like next to somebody shooting it, especially like in an indoor range or something like that. But as a shooter, it's pretty fun. It's a pretty fun gun. It doesn't kick nearly as bad as you would think it would. The muzzle brake does a really fantastic job, and it does feel very futuristic and modern, holding it and shooting it.
Yeah, it seems like one of those designs that's actually pretty modern and could be in service with any modern military.
Yeah, I think Carl from InRange said it was like it's like a half bullpup or something. Like it's not a full bullpup because it's not all the way, the magazine's not behind, but it's like the magazine's on the side, so it is a reduced action still. It's a really neat gun. It's a gun that really kind of defies like categories, like whatever type of category you try to put that gun in. It's not really any particular one because it was meant for so many different roles. But that would be a sweet gun in like an intermediate caliber, I bet.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, because they make them in 308 and 8mm. But not that it would ever happen. But if they made them in like
7.62 by 39,
yeah, something like that, or 5.56, that would be pretty fantastic. But that's exactly to quote Carl again, like nobody would buy it because you could buy 15 AR-15s for the price of that,
Yeah. Well, so I had this idea to do these rifles, and then Danny wanted to do the top 5. So none of us know what each other's top 5 are, and I think what we should do, Danny and Dan, that's fun to say, is that we should each go through the list from the bottom. So we'll all say our top 5, our number 5, I should say, and then each one of us, as we were saying, or not, we'll go through each of us, and each of us will go through a number 5, and then we'll go through number 4, and so on. And we'll describe our number 5 and why we love it or why it's on the list. And we'll just go from there. And then, obviously, the person that's not speaking has the opportunity to heckle the person's choice.
Okay.
Well,
All right, so I'll start off with Dan as our guest. So, Dan, what is your number 5?
I gotta make a disclaimer that these aren't ranked in any way. They're just my 5 all equal favorite. If I took 5 guns to the range to shoot, that's what I'd take. Yeah.
Okay. Really? You don't have any. Fine. You're not playing favorites at all with these guns.
They're my children. Who could pick their favorite?
I'm gonna let you know I have a favorite child, and one of them's not born yet, so I have a favorite child.
But I think my number 5 favorite Milsurp, just because it was one of the first ones that I got, and it's so much fun to shoot at the range, and it always turns heads, especially from all the younger folk who don't know a whole lot about Milsurps, but it's my 1898 Krag. Yeah,
solid choice.
It's a smooth shooter and so much fun, and just loading the magazine. I don't know why. Like Mausers don't do that for me. Just dropping them in and closing the gate is just so much fun. And
it's a totally unique experience, like nothing else. The crags, all the crags are just a unique experience.
oh yeah, and I mean, no other bolt compares. It's just a totally unique gun, and I love it. So that's my number 5.
Danny, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, the Krag is a pretty unique gun. There's definitely something to it. The magazine is, the magazine's wonky, but as a shooting, like, okay, I was trying to explain this to somebody the other day that, like, just because a gun isn't good, like, as far as, like, design-wise, like, maybe, you know, there's another gun that's better at this particular thing, but it doesn't mean that it's any more fun. So sometimes the gun that's not as good at something is more fun on the range. So I think the Krag magazine maybe not being as good as the Mauser magazine, in you know, practical use or whatever, doesn't mean that when you take it out to the range, it's not more fun to use that way. So,
oh yeah, no, Mausers are definitely the better military rifle, but I still, between a Mauser and a Krag, I'd take my Krag to the range.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Even though it might not be the best gun, it's still the most fun gun.
So, what's yours, Danny?
Oh, you know, it was real hard to figure out number 5. Like, the first 4 were real easy to figure out, but my number 5 I picked is just the gun that I've been kind of playing with mostly lately, and that is sort of getting me into other guns of its kind a little bit more. But that's my my Type 38 carbine. Yeah, so I got that gun, and I took it apart and stripped it, and you know, I'm used to a lot of other European Mauser designed rifles. And when I was taking this gun apart, I was going, "Oh, that's so smart that they did that." And, "Oh, that's really cool that they built that way." And the whole time I was taking it apart and putting it back together, I was just really impressed by the ingenuity of the designers when they were building this and designing it, and just kind of like how the trigger guard is like built to go into the wrist of the stock. So it strengthens the weakest part of the gun. It gets strengthened by a trigger guard, and it's not a whole lot of extra, you know, effort or anything, just to add that piece. Yeah. And yet it adds so much strength to the rifle. And as a collector, it'll keep your gun as a good shooter for much longer. Just a lot of cool things. Like the 38 action is also probably the strongest of all bolt actions. The 38 is the strongest. And, and it has to do with how they redesigned, the Mauser locking lugs. It still uses the fantastic Mauser extractor, and the box magazine is even better because now it has sort of a little button that you can press, and the magazine will pop off. So you don't need a tool or anything in order to empty out the magazine, to pop the floor plate off. Yeah.
But Danny, the way you're gushing about this, it sounds like you might love the Japanese Arasaka more than you like the Swedish
I haven't
Mausers.
shot it yet, and it's a new love, so it's not too high up there yet.
Oh,
and
this is the honeymoon
yeah,
stage.
yeah,
Is
and
that
it's
what
a
you're
straight
saying?
bolt, so I don't know how high it can get up on the list,
Ooh, dang, that's gonna be really bad for you once you actually get into it.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool things about it, and so the one I have, it has the dust cover too. So I definitely wanted one that has the dust cover, and that's just a weird kind of, funky, cool thing that they would add to it. I thought about mud testing it, but I have a feeling it's going to turn out exactly like what Ian's turned out whenever he mud tested his, just because of those holes on top of the receiver. But I bet if you put like masking tape over those holes on the receiver, then mud wouldn't get in there, and I bet it would function really well. But it's almost cheating putting,
probably
covering up the holes that's in there. Yeah. It'd be cool to see, I guess, because it's going to fail without it. But Yeah. So that's my. I guess that's my number 5. My Type 38 carbine.
Good. Solid choice.
And again,
That's a solid choice, but I wasn't expecting that, Danny, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't. It's growing on me, man. I've been talking to Mark a lot about Japanese guns lately. That's like I have a bunch of Gunbroker tabs open on my computer, and like 6 of the 8 of them are all different Arasakas that are for sale right now.
Well, I mean, I know you love the what is that? The one you have in 7.62x39.
Oh yeah. Yep. The Chinese Arasaka, yeah. My wife really loves that one because it's really fun to shoot, and it's cheap to shoot. You know, it's light.
I would think it would be.
You know, light recoiling, which is great for her. But yeah, my favorite thing about it is that it's very cheap to shoot, and I love captured guns. I love the history that goes along with captured guns that were captured by other countries and used by other countries. So I think it also adds a lot of really neat history to that particular rifle. So. Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah,
so
you're number 5 now.
I guess it's my turn.
What ridiculous gun is this going to be, Aaron?
It's pretty easy. I mean, what do I specialize in, Danny? Ridiculousness, right?
No, these can't all be M95s.
Oh, but you would think I haven't found a way. That's right, I didn't. But anyway. Actually, my number 5 is the model 1886 Mannlicher. And the reason for that is I absolutely love this design, this wedge locking bolt. It's so different, and the quality of craftsmanship. My rifle, my 1886, was a mistake. I got it on accident. I thought I was buying a Mannlicher 1888 that had not been updated to the 8x50 cartridge, which means it would have gotten a new rear sight. So I thought it had the old rear sight, but what it turns out I actually bought was a Mannlicher 1886, which was still in the original 11mm vertical cartridge. And it turns out that it was also a Chilean Mannlicher 1886. So it was sold to Chile, and it was kept there for however long. But I just the quality of the craftsmanship, the simplicity of the entire thing. I mean, we're talking something that is gigantic. I can't even fit it in my safe. Like, if the safe was empty, it's physically too large to fit into the safe. And I don't know. I'm amazed by the like, for example, the magazine. You would expect it to be a stamped piece of metal. It's not. It's milled. It's milled out of a block of metal, I would assume. It's insane, the level of quality we're talking about here. And it's just a crazy, cool, ancient, and completely and utterly obsolete the moment it was accepted into service. Because literally that same year they released the Lebel. Just completely just like, yeah, we got this sweet, look at us. We have an M-block clip. Everybody else is doing single shots. We can do 5 shots. It's the same amount of time that it takes you to load 1. We can load 5. What are you going to do about that? Oh, smokeless powder. All right, yeah. Fuck.
The best laid plans.
So, the Mannlicher 1886 is my... And Danny, you've seen mine, haven't you?
Yep.
Briefly.
I got to see yours, and I kind of still wish that we would have shot some ammo through it, because I actually, for some reason, I have a whole bunch of like original, in the original box still, 11mm Austrian on the M-block clips. And I brought it to the range.
I don't know where that stuff comes. It turns up quite a bit. Like, for something that hasn't been produced probably in 100 years or more, probably more than that.
Yeah, like 140.
More like 120, 130 years. Yeah. It turns up quite a bit. Like, that's surprising. I think what it is that a lot of these were sold to Chile. I don't know why Chile bought so many of them, but they did. And then when they got all the rid of their surplus, it's ended up in the U.S. And Danny's examples are perfect examples of why it just hasn't gone anywhere, because they can't shoot them, and they're so degraded. Usually, the brass isn't reusable, so it's just like, oh, so they're just kind of neat pieces to have around.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. A wedge locking bolt is just a really weird thing, and it's really neat to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty. I saw it, and it's very well. You could tell it took a lot of machine work to make that thing. Because there's a lot of little tiny intricate cuts and everything, and because it's a straight pole, it has to be very well, hand fitted together.
Yeah, and that is something that's pretty amazing too. Is that the rifle? So Austria-Hungary didn't serialize their bolts, which is amazing. Let's hand fit a bolt and then not serialize it.
Just don't take it out; you'll be fine.
It's such a stupid. It's just, well, that's the whole point, is that they weren't supposed to take them out. It was an armorer, and then that person would be responsible for putting it back together. Fair. I understand, but still, come on, guys. So, but they serialized in this example, they serialized the buttstock of the stock, the rifle barrel, and the receiver. Now, my buttstock is not matching, but the barrel and the receiver are matching. So that's pretty good on something that's like made in probably 1887 or 1888 at this point. So I'm like, we're talking something that's very, really, very old. So it's pretty cool.
I'll have to look those up. I didn't know about those, but that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I told Danny this when I took it apart the first time, that the stock it's a solid piece of walnut, and it's gigantic. And I'm like, all right, yeah, this totally makes sense why you would bash people in the head. Like, this is a club. Like, this is like a baseball bat.
Oh yeah, I have a story about that.
Well, don't stop there.
What about?
Okay, so this.
Yeah, we'll just stop there.
I might actually
cut that off.
I might cut this from the podcast actually, because PETA's probably going to come after me for this. But so we had a hog problem at my house in Florida, and so these hogs would come into our yard, and they would tear people's yards, and if you had like an outside dog, they'd kill your dog, and they were really bad, like kill your pets, tear up your yard, tear up your shrubs and everything. And they would hurt people too every now and then. So they were a pretty big pest. And so I had my M1 rifle, U.S. rifle caliber 30 M1, and I killed a bunch of them. I shot, and I shot the gun empty, but one was still alive. And I was like, okay, how do I kill this thing or whatever? Oh, what was that?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, so. Oh, I see. You sent pictures of your gun. So I'm standing there, and there's this hog, and it's shot, and but it's just kind of like laying there, and it's still kind of moving, like it's not alive. And I'm like, oh crap, how do I take this hog out? And I was like, oh, I have this M1. This gun is, it's a big sturdy wooden stock. It's got a steel butt plate. I bet I could just bash. I could just bash this this hog's head, and I could probably knock it out or something. And but later on, I talked to my dad. Saw me, and I talked to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't know what was wrong with you. I just saw you standing over this hog, and you were just hammering it with your rifle. It doesn't quite work as well as you would think."
Well, I would think it wouldn't work, so maybe it would work as well as I think.
Yeah. I don't think stuff gets knocked out as easily in real life as it does in movies.
Certainly not hogs.
Certainly.
No. And it's also this is a really bad sidetrack, but it's also totally unrealistic that if somebody's knocked out and they're knocked out for more than a couple minutes, that's some serious brain damage.
Yeah. It's
Like, oh, somebody's knocked out and they wake up the next day. No, that doesn't work. That's not how that works.
No.
Anyway, so Dan, what's your number 4?
Number 4. So I couldn't decide whether I wanted to be like unusual, because I like things that turn heads, at the range, but also just I have to for fun. My number 4 favorite to shoot, my favorite to bring to the range, is my M1 Garand U.S. rifle caliber 30 M1, and it's just the. I know my other choice was the I have a Inglis high power that has a stock, and that's tons of fun to shoot too, but nobody cares about it. Like,
really?
I'm just kidding, obviously, about the M1. It's just.
I mean, it's everybody has one, and everyone knows what they are, but the ping always makes me smile. It's just fun to shoot.
Yeah, and I mean, and I'm sure it brings people over too, right? At least when they come over, they don't mistake what it is.
That's true.
Like I bring my FAL to the range. Like, what kind of AR is that? That's not one.
Really?
But all right. Yeah, I get that asked a lot. But yeah, like everybody knows what an M1 is. It's like it's the 1911 of the rifles. Sorry.
That's a good way to put it.
Basically.
Except it jams a lot less.
They're usually paired together for the most part.
Except it jams a lot less than a 1911.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I mean, let's just shit on a 1911 while we're at it. But
let's just
Dan,
make all those people angry.
I don't know. I don't know about M1s that much, but do you know when it was made, or do they? They don't have serials, do they? Oh wait, they have one serial. That's right. They don't have matching numbers. That's what it is.
Well, mine doesn't, but it was went through arsenal after the war, but it was made in January of 1943.
Nice. So they don't. It's not matching numbers. It's correct maker parts. Correct. Okay. So what's the receiver's manufacturer? Oh, so you got the main manufacturer then. Nice.
I was bidding on a Winchester, but it got too high.
Yeah, those Winchesters
still
get real
a World War II era.
Oh yeah.
Still a World War II era M1. I mean, even if it's been through a refit, who cares?
The barrel still says 43 on it, so they didn't after Korea they swapped out a lot of barrels. It still has the original barrel, so
that's an important thing
as
far as collectors go with M1s, is if it has the original barrel.
Yeah. It's like the original engine in a classic car. Like, oh yeah, okay, we redid the seats, all right, but it's got the original engine. That's really neat.
I mean, it's a piece of American history, and it is lots of. I love to shoot it. It's there's some guns that you go and you shoot once in a while maybe, or they just sit in the safe because they're not fun to shoot. I take my M1 out all the time. It's just fun to shoot.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. This is something that bugs me a lot when I see this in movies and TV shows. I know they're using blanks, so they do this, but I see people mag dump M1s all the time in these shows.
Oh, yeah.
That's not really possible, right? Like, I've never shot an M1.
It's possible. You won't hit anything, but it's possible.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when they're mag dumping this, the gun stays still.
No,
that's not happening.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
No,
I'm just like...
Yeah, I can tell you, if you shot one as fast as they do, Saving Private Ryan was pretty bad about that. Like, those guys are really, emptying those M1s, and they don't move at all. Like, you can just shoot them. And that's sort of a pet peeve of mine with reenacting. So when I do World War II reenacting, and the American reenactors with their M1s, that's exactly how they shoot them. Like they shoot them almost like they're full auto or something. They da 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 bing. And the funny thing is that all the reenactors, so they shoot their last round and ping, and then they stop and they start like looking through the grass until they find the clip, and then they put the clip in their pouch, and then they reload. It's pretty funny, but yeah, they just mag dump those things. But yeah, it's not possible in real life.
All right, that's just a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah,
I mean it's totally possible. It's just that it's gonna be like all over the place because recoil is going to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah. If you're Jerry Michalek, you could do it, but the average person, no, because Jerry, he can manhandle an M1 now, and he could dump that mag just fine, but the average shooter person, no.
Yeah, but I'd like. Has he done that before? Because I'd like to see that.
Oh yeah. So he it's in his speed shooting videos. It's a couple of years old. But yeah, he used an M1 and he did his whole split drill and everything. He ran it as fast as some people run ARs. That's how good he is. And but he's so good, man. But he I thought the M1 was fantastic, and then he pulled out the Barrett 50 and was dumping those too. And I was like, this guy is just a legend. It's just
color me impressed.
Yeah, you gotta check it out. Yeah, he's been making videos again on his YouTube channel. He took a little hiatus, but he's back now making videos.
Nice. Well, Danny, what's your number 4?
Okay, my number 4 is my 94. It's the Swedish M94.
Wait, that you just got?
No, just M94s in general. This is my third M94.
Oh, okay.
So I sort of just buying this made me realize, I guess, how much I like these. I like these more than probably most Mausers. But it's all the...
That's a bold statement, and yet it's only your number 4.
Yes. Because there's other guns.
What do you like?
Huh?
Well, what do you like? Hold on. What's the thing that what sticks this out that you've bought 3 so far? You said.
Yeah.
So what makes that? Why buy 3?
Well, it's a lot of the same qualities I kind of touched on earlier. It's Swedish made, so it is top notch quality. You probably can't get a better made firearm than a Swedish made firearm. This one's made in 1903. That's just, it's good stuff. It's fantastic steel. It's really, really well made, finely fitted, well machined gun. So it's it's got those things going for it, and it's in 6.5, which is a fantastic cartridge. It's a short, light, handy rifle. It has a bent bolt, like all short rifles should. And it's a gun that you can run it really, really fast.
No.
Yes. So it's a gun, you can run the bolt on this thing really fast. I kind of showed it. I have a speed shooting M38 video where I kind of mag dump an M38. These Swedish Mausers, you can shoot them just like people do in fields, and you kind of hold on the bolt with your right hand and you use your middle finger to pull the trigger. You can do that with these Swedes, and they're really fast. They're cock on close, light recoiling gun, so that the recoil doesn't really kick you off target as much as an infield would whenever you're speed shooting. But yeah, light, handy, short. Great cartridge that gives enough power. There's Swedish dudes that hunt Swedish elk or whatever with 6.5 by 55. So
Swedish elk.
Yeah, I mean in Sweden, Swedish mooses, whatever they have over there, they kill them with this cartridge still. So it's good enough for huge mammals, and but yet it's a light handy package. Yeah, I don't know if I hammered that home well enough, but
I think you did.
So I think we should make it mandatory that we trash talk each other's picks as we go along.
Okay.
From now on.
I've been kind of doing that.
You always
I
do
said
that.
The M1 was boring. Well, okay, then, Danny, your Type 38 is going to blow up.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I really don't know much about those other than that
stupidity. Wasn't one of the tests they did was to obstruct the bore and then shoot a cartridge through it, and it had to survive with the Japanese rifles?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. It's Andrew brought it up in the underrated guns episode, but essentially, I think parts of the bolt came off, and they just decided we're not going to continue this test.
Oh yeah,
it far exceeded their testing requirements, and it was just like, yeah, screw it.
So the Swedish Mauser did some pretty extensive tests with them. I own the book Crown Jewels, and they talk about some of the tests. I can't remember all of them, but a couple of them were that they would drill a hole in the brass case, or the brass case of the cartridge. That way, that it pretty much ensures that there's going to be a rupture in the chamber, and they would shoot the gun repeatedly that way, just to see if the gun was going to blow up or what exactly was going to happen to test it. And it was fine. And they even did an underwater test where they would shoot it underwater, but they would leave it out in the ocean in the salt water for days, and then I forgot the time period. And then take it out and shoot it.
Dang.
It's a really... Yeah, come in.
Dan, y'all good?
These people that are selling them.
I wonder if she can hear us.
Hey.
Is that your wife, Dan?
That was my mom.
Oh, your mom.
She's visiting for the weekend.
I said wife because my mom is never that nice to me, so I assumed.
Oh, my wife is never that nice to me, so.
I guess, yeah. Now that I think about it.
All right, I guess we're moving on to my number 4.
Yeah. What's your number 4? I'm ready to trash talk.
What do you think it's going to be?
Another man liquor. You love your man liquors.
Yes, but I do have a big love of man liquors.
Okay, what type of liquor is this one?
Why, it's the Portuguese Vaquero.
Oh, well, that's not really.
I'm sorry, what? He totally took the design influence from the Mannlicher Schonauer and the Gewehr 88, so booyah, Danny.
I mean, the only way that's... so they're called Mannlicher Schonauers, yeah, but it's mostly just in the name. And they're mostly called Mannlicher Schonauers because they use a Mannlicher magazine. And your Vaquero doesn't use a Mannlicher magazine anymore, right?
Alright. Anyway.
So it's kind of just
nitpicking me now.
It's like a Gewehr 8805, but in the guise of a K98K, sort of.
You're nitpicking me right now, but I haven't even gone on the website.
I told you I was going to give you a hard time about this.
All right. It is easily, out of my collection, one of the prettiest guns that I own. If not the prettiest, I would have to say.
It is pretty. I've seen it.
It is a beautiful, rich, dark hardwood. The bluing is immaculate. It's matching. It has the original sling attached to it. And, the action is weird as hell, so it's right up my alley. It's an 8mm Mauser, so at least it's a 1904/39. So at least it's not some weird 6.5, because Danny loves his 6.5s. Which means that, Danny, you're going to have to get one of these in 6.5.
Yeah, it's on... What 6 point... Is it 6.5 by 53R, or is it by 54? the original one? Do you know?
6.5 by 58.
Huh.
Wait, by 50 what? You cut out.
Unique cartridge. 58.
It cut out again when you said 50.
58.
I swear I still didn't hear. Can you hear him, Dan? Is this just me?
8.
Oh, I heard
8.
Can you hear him, Dan? Is this really just me?
He keeps cutting out at 50 something.
Yeah.
All right. You dumbasses. 50,000 is what it's supposed to be. There we go.
58, you said?
Yeah.
See, I don't know if you responded or if you're just giving us a silent treatment now.
I can hear him.
Danny, apparently, I don't know if you're just retarded. I can't understand what I'm saying.
I can hear both of you. It's hilarious.
Okay. Well, yeah. So that would be one that I would want. Yes. But I have a.
Well, Dan,
Huh?
hold on, Danny. Dan, have you shot one of these
not.
before? Have you ever seen one in person?
Nope.
Now, Danny has shot mine, and it's the first time he's ever held or even seen one in person, I think, right, Danny?
Yeah.
So, Danny, at the time we shot this, we had it on film, but it was pretty much impossible to hear it because of all the people shooting at the range. I think you said it's like a better K98.
It's like a better what?
It's like a better K98, I think is what you said, but I don't remember.
Oh, nope. No, I did not say that.
Oh, because it has a straight bolt.
Negatory.
Huh.
No, the straight bolt is just no. I mean, who needs a straight bolt in their life?
Well,
Nobody.
it's such a beautiful design.
Turn down bolt life.
It's all right, whatever, Danny. It's a beautiful design. If I had it in 6.5, I bet you it would be a nice, easy shooter. I don't think that would be a hard-hitting, recoiling rifle. Do you think, Danny? Danny? Can you not hear me again?
I guess not.
I don't know if he's messing with us or not.
I swear I'm not messing with you guys.
I don't know either.
I can hear Dan fine. I can't, like, you keep cutting out, Aaron. I don't know if it's, like, I don't know what
Can
it
you
is.
hear me now?
Yeah.
Hello?
I can hear you just fine. I can hear both of you just fine.
I don't know what this is. I don't know what's going on here, Aaron. I'm not giving you a hard time. I can't really. You're cutting out early a lot.
Can you hear me though? Like right now?
Oh yeah, you're cool right now.
All right. Can you hear me still?
All I heard is, "Can you hear me?" That's all I heard.
Huh.
Your internet sucks,
Yeah,
Dan.
seriously.
Dude, I have Google Fiber 1,000 megabits per second. It is not my internet.
Apparently,
Thank
it
you
sucks
very
like
much.
ass.
It is fast. You take that back, sir.
All right. So my number 4 was the Vigero. I know I'm probably butchering that pronunciation. Dan, let's go on. Let's move on to number 3.
My number 3. See, I think I'm gonna have to go with a really weird rifle that always, like, people always come over and ask me what kind of Mauser it is at the range, but it's the Walther G41.
Ah.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you tell him it's an auto Mauser?
I do. It's a semi-auto Mauser. I would kill for a Mauser G41.
Oh yeah, I know, man. I know.
But yeah, my G41W, it's the smoothest, probably the smoothest semi-auto I've ever shot. At the range, obviously, because it will become very stiff and hard to operate once it gets dirty. But if you keep it clean, it's a fantastic gun. And tons of fun to shoot. I love it. Now roast me for picking the gun that stops working when it gets cold.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
I mean, it's not the Mauser variant, so I can't tell you that it's basically just a bastardized K98K.
Yeah, that's a. I can't. So I'm in the process of getting one of those, so I can't trash talk it really either. They're cool. They're cool.
I mean, I don't know enough about them. That's the problem. I can't trash talk it because I don't know anything about them.
You got a big nose. There you go. See, trash talk it.
There you go. Don't say that too loud, or Hitler will destroy it.
Oh boy. Oh.
Wow. All right, we went there.
But no, it's a gas trap rifle, which, I mean, I'm sure you know what that means, right, Aaron?
I understand how it works. Yeah, it's a stupid idea.
I mean, it's actually a great idea. Back in the early 1900s when it was thought of, and then they figured out better ways to make semi-autos.
Yeah, and it's also a better idea if you're not using corrosive primers.
That's true. Still. Or shooting it in the cold, because the gas doesn't expand very well in sub-freezing conditions. And then you've basically just got a straight pull.
Yeah. Then it's just back to a bolt action.
Yeah.
Except with the Walther version, you don't have a bolt handle.
I mean, kind of.
Well,
it's a straight pull.
Yeah, you kind of do.
Yeah,
it would just be a straight pull, yeah.
Pull it straight back. But, if you're going to do that, might as well have a K98. Friggin' the G41s weigh almost 12 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty heavy.
They're...
What's that?
Yep.
Hefty boy.
Thick boy.
Yeah, thick boy.
But it's accurate and tons of fun to shoot, and always turns heads at the range. So that's my choice.
I mean, it's fair. It's a solid choice.
Yeah, you're gonna laugh at. I swear, I picked this number. My number 3, I picked a while ago.
Is it the Gewehr 41?
No, it's the Gewehr 43.
Freaking.
I mean, I might have picked the 41 had I owned it and shot it already, but I picked the G43 because for years and years and years, I dreamed about owning one of those guns. And yeah, now I have one that actually works and stuff. And
then you went through.
I did. I mud tested it
for science.
I did. It got for science.
Well,
it got dirty
for clickbait. I'm sorry, science.
Yeah, it's so funny, man. People think that mud, people think water and sand melt steel. It's like lava to people. It's basically poured lava on that gun, and it's forever. Nobody can really articulate what damage it does, because nobody it doesn't do anything. But yeah. So getting off of that, I picked the G43. A lot of the similar reasons that Dan said for the G41, except that the G43, I guess, is a little bit more refined. than the G41. The interchangeable magazines, the removable box magazine on the G43 is very, very nice. It's a good upgrade. Of course, it's uses the Tokrev gas piston system now. But there's downsides to it over the G41 though.
What are those?
Well, that they used stamped steel and the bolt housing.
Yeah.
Instead of milled. So the G41 has a milled bolt housing, and the G43 they switched to stamped.
Yeah.
So they're prone to cracking. Mine hasn't cracked yet, but they are prone to cracking. And you have to buy a shooter's kit and install it on your K43 if you want to actually shoot it a lot at the range. But a G41, you really don't have to.
I was going to say, don't they gas themselves to death?
Yeah, they're over-gassed.
Yeah, the G43s beat themselves to death,
yes,
right?
Yeah,
well,
so they... You want to... Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask if you knew why they're so over-gassed.
Well, what everybody says is that they're over-gassed just because if you're going to under-gas it or over-gas it, you might as well over-gas it. And then it'll just be a little bit more reliable in adverse conditions. And, they weren't really caring about longevity of the gun. The gun didn't have to last for years and years, because, attrition. So pretty much that's what people say. Now, however, my K43, Walther started implementing some really late war changes, and they actually drilled holes in I still don't know what it's called. It's like the piston cup. The part
the gas release. Yeah.
Yeah. So they drilled 2 holes in it. So whenever that cycles, it'll bleed off the excess gas to reduce the sort of how hard the whole piston cycles. So the Germans did know it was a problem, and they were addressing it at the end of the war. And in my gas system, they did drill those 2 holes in it. So mine has a slightly reduced velocity. But it's pretty similar to like what you said about the G41. It's a very smooth shooting gun.
Yeah.
Like mine, I was very pleasantly surprised at how well mine shot. The recoil impulse is not very bad. It's not a sharp recoil impulse at all. It's a pretty smooth one. It feels feels more like a shove instead of like a hit on your shoulder.
Yep, that's one thing that really surprised me with the G41. Is just, it like kind of pushes you. It doesn't kick, it pushes you.
Yeah. It's they're cool guns, man. Like I said, I probably would have done a G41, but I had to I just did the G43 just because that's, what I have and use, and it's, it's just like an upgraded G41, if you will.
Little brother.
Yeah. All right, Aaron. Just go ahead and shit all over them now.
Well, I don't need to. We're going to move on. Booyah. So to my number 3.
All right. What's your number 3? Let me guess.
All right.
M9530.
Which Mannlicher is it? No. So my number 3 is the 1895 Chilean Mauser.
Oh.
Okay. Huh.
And this is a little bit of a biased opinion here because this was my first firearm I ever owned, and I absolutely love 7mm Mauser. I adore shooting this gun. I have so much brass sitting behind me right now, full and ready to shoot, and it's just so much fun to shoot. And the gun is beautiful. It's not in great condition, but I don't care. It's as Danny has pointed out in the past, we've talked about this, is that it's the peak of the small ring Mausers designs, and it really shows, and it's just so much fun to take it out and shoot it, and that's really a lot of fun for me too, because most people, like you said, most people can recognize a Mauser, but like you go up and they're like, what is this thing? I don't understand. Why are you using round bullets?
Yeah.
Why are you using round nose? I don't understand. There, you shit on my 1895.
Alrighty, so it is the 1895. I picked it as my underrated choice, as it's probably one of the most underrated Milsurps.
Yep.
And like to go with that, there was one at a gun show that was sitting on a table for $300, and nobody wanted one for $300, which is a fantastic deal. Yeah, it sat there and it finally sold because he dropped the price to $250. Like, yeah, those are nice, beautiful, high-quality Mausers, and just for some reason, like, they just don't click with people, and so they're just not fully appreciated. Now, they are not the pinnacle of small ring Mausers, unfortunately. They are not the best. They're not the best. They're not the best pre-98, dude. The Swedes have a lot of design features above 1895s, which is kind of weird, because the Swedish Mauser is it's an 1894 design, but there's some features that the 1895 doesn't have, like the guide rib. So I bet if you have yours right now, you'll notice that so Swedes have it and 1898 Mausers have it. But there's this guide rib that sticks out of the bolt, and when the bolt's closed on your rifle, you can see it underneath the extractor on the right side. Now that guide rib fits in this little groove that's machined in the top of the receiver bridge on the inside, so whenever you open up the bolt, it basically eliminates the bolt wobble. So 1895s, they have a lot of play in the bolt, especially when you open it. So they incorporated the bolt guide rib into the Swedes, which is not in the 1895. Also, there's the cutout in the left side of the receiver for loading stripper clips. That's incorporated on the Swedish Mauser. That's not on the 1895. So, I like the 1895s, but really the Swede is probably the pinnacle Mauser before the 1898s. Also, the safety on Swedish Mausers, the safety can be engaged when the gun is decocked. So right now my Swedish Mauser is not cocked, and I can flip the safety on, and you can't do that with any other Mauser. And that's a design feature specifically that Sweden wanted on their Mausers that no other Mauser has. So, yes.
All right.
Huh.
So.
But do you have any positives, Danny? Have you ever shot it at 1895?
I can't remember if I've ever shot mine. I have a 1895 long rifle and I have a short rifle. I like them.
Huh.
Shoot. I don't know. I can't remember if I shot it or not. Maybe I shot it one of my point of aim versus point of impact videos. Can't remember. No.
Dan, what about you?
Oh yeah. Oh, I have an 1895. And I have a 1935.
7mm, right?
Yeah. I love it. It's one of my favorite cartridges ever. Mauser hit it out of the park with 7mm.
Yeah. 7mm Mauser is fantastic.
What have you shot in 7mm Mauser, Danny?
Me?
Huh?
I'm not messing around. I can't hear you.
Sure.
Danny, what have you shot in 7mm Mauser?
I'm drawing a blank, honestly. And it's funny because I'm sitting on 1,000 rounds of 7mm Mauser, and I can't think of a gun that I've shot it. I just know it makes sense in my head. Let's just say I've never shot it before, but ballistically, it makes sense in my head because it's been copied. The cartridge has been copied a lot, and sometimes 6.5s, like the 6.5 Swedish, can be a little too light of a cartridge. So if you just sort of up it up to 7mm a little bit, add 20 or 30 grains to it, then it's a pretty it's a certain sweet spot.
Huh.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll move on to Dan's number 2.
Dan's number 2.
Dan's number 2. For a number 2, I'm gonna have to pick probably one of my favorite guns ever to bring to the range. This is my SVT-40.
Nice.
It's just I love it. It's a semi-auto nugget.
Yep, auto nugget.
Yep. I've actually had people ask me what kind of Mosin it was.
It's too good.
Yeah, no joke. And I told them a semi-auto one. But yeah, my SVT-40 until a year ago, it was my absolute favorite rifle, and it would have been my number one until a year ago.
Oh, foreshadowing, guys.
Dun dun dun. I think I know what his number one's gonna be.
Yeah. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, we talked about it before. Not to spoil it, though.
Okay.
Well, Danny, you've ruined it for your surprise, but anyway. I can't really... I don't know much about the SVTs. I saw Danny's. We weren't allowed to shoot it because he only brought ammo that had steel
Yeah,
cores.
apparently at all my ammo that I brought attracted a magnet, so we couldn't shoot it at the range. Yeah.
So I could look at it.
Well, doesn't it look pretty?
It looks it's very futuristic looking, even though it has a lot of wood. At the same time, it's just like, that's really, especially the front. Like the whole front assembly of the rifle.
It does look very, very futuristic. The ventilated, like, metal sort of, it's like a handguard, but it's like half handguard, half piston cover on the front.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, it's like, and the front end of the gun, especially with the muzzle brake and everything, is very futuristic, but like the back of it is kind of old school.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a cool gun. Yeah, I thought about putting the SVT on my list because it is one of the guns that I tend to take to the range with me. Mostly because it's a cool gun. It's fun to shoot. You know, being semi-auto, and some 6.2x54 is still like fairly cheap.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a good solid choice. So like my only dig against the SVTs is the reliability.
I've only had 2 malfunctions with mine ever. One of them was pretty bad though. One of them we had to mortar stroke it open as the case got stuck. Don't know why or how, but after that it worked fine. Before that it worked fine.
Huh. Yeah, that's odd. Yeah, I mean, I have problems with mine. Mine's a refurb, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Is there any issues with the gas? Like you have to change the knob a lot or something?
Not mine.
Adjust the system, I mean.
I haven't needed to change it on mine. So mine just kind of works when it does, and when it malfunctions, it doesn't malfunction because of the gas system. I don't know why. Oh, did you see my my mud test, the SVT mud test video?
Yeah,
I saw it.
So did you see where it malfunctioned at the very beginning, like before I even got mud on it or anything? Just when I was trying to chamber around. Like it does weird stuff like that sometimes.
Really?
Like it'll just like it'll jam, something will, pop out of it, and it's finicky, and most SVTs, I can say for certainly, like mine, they're not super accurate. They kind of have a wandering zero.
Really?
Yeah, so they talk about it a lot. So SVTs, they were supposed to be pushed into like a semi-sniper role, like a designated marksman role, which is why they have the scope rail on the side, and they had those scopes that were going to be on it. And so that was the plan, is to push those into that role, but they were so inaccurate that snipers never used them. But you'll see them in pictures a lot because Soviet propaganda, they wanted this cool futuristic looking gun in their propaganda photos. So they would make the snipers hold SVTs in the photos, but then in real life they would usually use Mosins.
Huh.
Yeah. So I was out on BLM land in Utah, and I had this plate. I forgot how far out, and it wasn't super hard to hit. It was a little over 100 yards, something like that. And we could hit it pretty reliably with any bolt action that we had. But shooting it with the SVT, it was real hit or miss whether or not we could hit it. And I mean, I was shooting it so consistently with a Swiss K31. I was shooting it so consistently with that Swiss K31 that I was like, okay, it's not me. Like it has to be something about this gun. But yeah.
That's interesting.
And that's the thing is that
I've never shot mine for groups, but I've never had a problem hitting a 10-inch steel plate at 100, 200 yards.
Huh. Maybe I just got a bad one, man.
I mean, but like maybe mine's a 1940, and so one of the first year they switched to SVT 40, and it's really well made. Like I imagine something. What year is yours?
A 41 Tula.
Mine's a 40 Ishevsk. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I've only ever shot one, and it's mine, and I've never had a problem hitting things with it. That's all I can tell you.
Man, see, that's real interesting. I'm wondering if like the refurb process has anything to do with it, because the bore on it is fine. It's just inconsistent. But I just assumed because like my personal experience lined up with the stories that I heard on why they weren't pushed into sniper roles.
Yeah.
Now SVTs would be really cool if they were a lot shorter, man, because SVTs are super long. They're
the standard 9130 length.
Yeah, if they were shortened, if they were like a short rifle length, they would be a lot better. They'd be a lot lighter and handier. They'd be super, super nice probably, and to shoot then.
Oh yeah.
Especially over a Mosin.
Well, let's move on to Danny's number. Danny, you're number two, you're number two.
So my number 2 is the Swiss K31, and it's funny because I just kind of mentioned that.
Boring.
Yeah. So it's boring to Aaron because it's so good. And it kind of ties into like what I said earlier, where like sometimes if a gun is too good, like it is kind of boring. It just does its job perfectly every time, and like and as a recreational shooter, it's not necessarily always the best thing, but it's something that I can appreciate with a rifle. And I mean, what good is there not to say about K30? The worst thing about a K31 is the clip. This little clip package system that you load it with.
You mean the piece of cardboard?
Yeah, the cardboard pieces, or if you have
with tinfoil stamped on
literally,
it?
Yeah, it is. I'm pretty sure it's like literally tinfoil, like pressed into the cardboard. So it's real reassuring. Or you can get a reproduction, and those are made of plastic. So so that's good. I would love it if somebody started making reproductions of the actual Swiss Mauser styled stripper clips, because so the 1911s and the K31s, they're all machined in the receiver to take this like super rare metal Mauser style stripper clip that the Swiss were going to use, but then they abandoned it for some reason. But it'd be really cool if somebody made those. You can use like Moss 36 clips. You can use those, but they only hold 5 rounds, instead of 6. So kind of works. But okay, so back. The good things about the K31 is so accurate, it's boring, right? It just hits exactly where you want. It's a sweet trigger, super accurate, very nice sights. I'm a big fan of the sight setup. It's a perfect short rifle length. It's got a great side sling. Like the placement of the side sling is good. The actual sling that they had is really good. I did a video where I hiked with the K31 up in the mountains in Utah, and it's a real comfortable gun to hike with because of the sling setup on it.
Yeah, because it's got that wonderful turn down. Oh wait,
Okay, so Swiss guns get a pass on this because they're straight pulls. Straight pulls, they get a pass from the turn down thing because it's the difference is it doesn't stick out as far. Their handles don't stick out as far as straight bolts. And it's like it's flattened on the end. It looks like a little tiny beer keg sticking off the end of the handle.
He's walking back the statement, Dan.
You don't.
He's walking it back.
No, you don't need a turn down bolt on a straight pull. So.
I know you can't have a turn down bolt on a straight pull.
I mean, I guess
Danny.
you could.
I understand that.
You know what they kind of actually they do. I've seen commercial straight pulls with turn down bolt handles. So I guess.
Didn't the K98 30 or 40 have one?
Turn down, yeah.
I mean,
I have to look this up now.
No, I have a 9840. Yeah, it has a turn down bolt handle. Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the Lee Navy has a turn down bolt, but it's not really like it's not the same kind of thing.
So the Lee Navy turn down bolt is kind of like how the Craig is a turn down bolt handle, and it doesn't exactly like turn down. It's just at that angle that just kind of goes there.
It's a dog leg. That's what they call it, Danny, a dog leg.
But it's a gun, though. It's not a dog.
I understand, but except for the Lee Navy is a little bit more. So the Krag is kind of just like an off at an angle, whereas the Lee Navy is actually engineered down. So you actually are deposited closer to the trigger. So that is a straight pull with a turn down bolt.
And there's a little debate. I've heard some people actually debate whether or not the Lee Navy is a straight pull.
I mean, you don't rotate, so yes.
Yeah, you don't exactly rotate the handle, but the bolt does actually move. Whenever you pull the bolt back, the bolt lifts up and then goes back, instead of just a straight linear motion.
But it doesn't rotate. That's the point.
Huh.
Well, yeah, there's no rotation, so you could call it a non-rotational bolt. But the bolt doesn't use like camming surfaces to rotate. I mean, I guess it kind of does, but I'm trying to say this in a funky way.
We're getting into a really off the weeds topic, but anyway. I was just pointing out the hypocrisy of Danny thinking the K31.
Wow, how do we get there from that? That's how these discussions go. I don't know.
I'm just saying that.
So the K31 is fantastic.
That you're speaking,
and the only reason why you didn't like the K31 is because it was too good.
That is why I got rid of it. I was bored of it,
and it was too mainstream for you, right?
No, actually, the issue is that I only get to shoot a couple times a year, and the only range that I can go to only goes out to 200 yards, and the K31 is pretty damn boring at 200 yards, and it's not a common caliber anymore. It used to be, but now it's not so much. I don't even think you can argue with me about that, Danny.
About it not being common?
Yeah, the caliber.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, it's getting more expensive. Yeah.
So I had the opportunity, and I actually traded mine straight up for the Vigero. So there's no regrets here. Dan, what are your thoughts on the K31?
I actually haven't shot a K31, but I have shot a 1911. And they're good rifles. I love them. They don't turn heads at the range, but they're accurate to a fault.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean. Yeah, they're not exciting. They just do what they do very well.
They're do. Very smooth. I'm not a huge. I have not yet found a straight pull that I enjoy shooting, but I've only
I'm just going to tell you right now, Dan, that we're no longer friends.
Let me shoot a straight pull. then one of your guns. Then we can be friends again.
One of my 7 examples. Well, I mean, the M95s are all going to shoot about the same. The long rifle might be different. Probably won't kick the crap
I don't have anything against the concept. I just haven't found one that that feels natural. If that makes any sense.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head, though. And Danny has done it too. Is that it does what it's doing, and it's boring. So it's Swiss. It does what it does really well, and it's boring. So it's Swiss. I mean, I'm just gonna crap on the Swiss here, but yeah.
Yeah, but I guess one of us likes it because it's so good that it's boring, and another one doesn't like it that it's so good that it's boring.
I don't hate it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I found it boring. So I don't regret selling it, or just not selling it, trading it.
All right. So what's your?
So should we move on?
Yeah. What's your number 2?
Yeah.
All right, Danny. I'm prepared for this.
Oh, I bet I know what it is.
What is it, Danny?
It's got to be a 9530 now.
No, it is the Type 2246 Siamese Mauser.
Oh, I should have known.
Should have seen it coming, Danny. Booyah.
Oh boy.
Now, I'm not going to tell you that this gun is fun to shoot because it's really not all that different from another Mauser, an 8mm. And I hate the caliber because it's a pain in the ass and it's expensive. So we're just going to throw that out the window. But the style, the design, the look, the combination of a Mauser action with the looks of an Arasaka, it is a pretty gun to look at. And it has beautiful lines. The history behind it, the history that this little tiny country in Asia that couldn't get anybody to sell them weapons because the British and French were trying to stop them because they wanted to be able to take over the country. And they finally were able to get the rights to build Gewehr 98s, but they didn't have any factories. So they go to the only other Asian country that had factories that were willing to work with them, and that was Japan. So Japan is building Mauser 98s for Siam, and it's just this really weird thing that's just out of nowhere. There's a rimmed cartridge involved because they when they first tried to buy arms, they got a defaulted contract from Bulgaria of M88 90s, which were in 8mm by 50R Austro-Hungarian. So they're like, well, our new cartridge should be 8 by 50R. Why? I don't know, because it looks nice. Sure, whatever. It was literally their first experience with it, and they're like, that's a good cartridge. We're going to change it slightly so it doesn't match exactly, so future people can fuck off, but it's not the same as 8 by 50R Austro-Hungarian or 8 by 50R Lebel, so there's 8 by 50R Siamese. And then they changed it slightly to 8 by 52R because why not? And I just think, it's a Mauser with a rimmed cartridge, a dust cover, and before you say it, Danny, that you can easily convert to 4570.
You son of a bitch. I was been waiting to say that this whole time. Yep.
I knew it. I took it away from you.
Yeah. That's the best thing about it, is that you can put it in 4570 and actually shoot it.
Shut up.
I'm sold. Now I want one.
Yeah. Hey, can you bore out the existing barrel for 4570? You got to rebarrel it.
You probably couldn't.
Cause
I mean, you probably could, but it would probably be cheaper and easier to rebarrel it.
See, I might be picking me up a Siamese Mauser soon to put in 4570.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure I heard somebody at a gun show arguing that the U.S. military never should have got rid of 4570.
God, what? Why? Stopping power?
Stopping power.
They want to be able to see the bullets moving?
Yeah. See it curve off in the distance, curve downwards.
That actually might have been useful in trenches.
Is there anything...
Yeah.
Is there anything, Danny, that you're going to say about this Siamese Mausers other than it's 4570? Do you not agree with any of my other statements?
No, so I definitely like the history of it, and I like how they kind of went to Japan and Japan made them. I think they're well made guns, like most of the Japanese rifles. The ones that I always see tend to be in like pretty rough shape, and they're pretty cheap because you can't shoot them. It's unobtainium. It's 8mm unobtainium, and so it's a cool gun if you want to never shoot it, you know. But I have shot it. I'm like the third person in the world to have ever shot one.
Yeah. Well, before let me preface this, there's no like there's no corroboration on this, whatever it is. There's no proof to what I'm about to say. But let me just put this in everybody's head. So the Japanese Type 38, people say is the Japanese Mauser, right?
Yeah.
They were making Siamese Mausers in 1904. They released the Type 38 in 1906. You bet your ass Japan was like, wait, so we get to see all of the drawings for the Gewehr 98s and we don't have to pay for them? In fact, somebody's going to pay us to steal this shit? Hell yes! Sign us up!
Huh. That's a pretty interesting point I've never thought about.
They would have had to have paid for the designs. I mean, they've made enough modifications, obviously, that they weren't going to get sued or whatever, but, like, they had to have seen them somewhere. They had to have either captured guns from China, or they would have had to have taken or bought some. But then Siam comes in here and goes, here, we bought the rights here. You can have the entire design. Here's the full blueprints. Can you build us, a bunch of guns? Sure.
Heck yeah. That's interesting.
That might be something really good to talk with Othias about, because I don't think he mentioned anything about that in the 38 episode, but that's a really... Huh.
I don't have any proof to my statement. I don't know if they saw it. I would assume they did, because they were produced at the major arsenal. What's the major arsenal in Japan? The big one. Tokyo Arsenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were all produced at the Tokyo Arsenal, the first contract was, sorry. The first contract was produced at the Tokyo Arsenal. And it's just like, I just have to think that they would have seen some of the similarities and just fixed their design with it. You know what I mean?
It makes sense to me.
But anyway,
huh.
I have no proof to that, so it's just
cool.
my head canon. All right, moving on. Let's finish this up because I'm starting to crash here, guys. This is taking a lot longer than I thought it would.
Yeah, me too. I thought this would be fast.
Dan, what is your number one?
All right, my number one favorite Milsurp to bring to the range, which is no surprise to Danny, but I have to choose my 1941 Johnson.
Oh, you like to play with your Johnson, huh?
I love to show it to people, and people have to handle it, so can't really complain about a man and his Johnson.
No,
I'm so immature. That's hilarious.
It's unique.
That's an understatement.
It looks like a pregnant guppy, and yeah, it's one of the other. Well, I have to say, no one at the range has ever misidentified it. They always just ask, "What the hell is that?"
I was gonna say that, like, somebody go up and go, "Is that an M1?" Because it's like, it almost kind of, but then it's also like, what is that? Because to me, and I've seen them before, but like I've seen them more recently because Danny was talking about you having one, Dan, and like the exposed barrel just looks so strange to me for a military rifle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it does. It and then you have the cylindrical magazine.
Yeah, the rotary.
Conical? What's
that
the word?
Rotary, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. And it's got a I think it's a 7-lug rotating bolt. So it Eugene Stoner actually took the exact same bolt design for the M16. So it looks exactly like an AR bolt face. And it's a really cool rifle that was ahead of its time. And it's so much fun to shoot.
Now yours is in 30-06,
Yes.
right?
Mine is in 30-06. They
I'm reading here some stuff here because I didn't know much about it. Is that there are some that were made for Chile
yes.
in 7mm
Yes.
Mauser.
Ooh.
Those are ridiculously difficult to find.
I need to go to Chile.
But they do exist.
Yes,
apparently.
I know someone who has a Chilean Johnson, and the rifle is exactly the same except for the barrel. It's just chambered differently. So, theoretically, you could get a custom barrel made because they're so easy to swap out.
Well, it's just like an AR, like you said.
No, Stoner actually worked with Johnson for a while, and that's where he got the design. Like there's no possible way to debate it.
I don't really have anything to tell you, just crap on the Johnson. I mean,
is your favorite part of owning that rifle all the dick jokes that you get to make?
Yes, that's definitely the best part.
I don't know. Maybe people walking up and they're like, "What the hell is that?" And you go, "It's a Johnson," and they're like, "What the fuck is a Johnson?"
No,
I think
no.
Do people know it's a Johnson when you say it is? Like they know what that means?
I mean they figure it's like they know it's the manufacturer. Like, what is that? It's a Johnson. Like, okay, that's pretty much. And then they stare at it because it's big.
Anyway,
but that's
Jokes
I have to
aside.
say that's why I picked it for my number one, because you get to make puns all day long.
That's good. That's invaluable.
moving away from Dan's long hard Johnson. Danny, what is your number one?
Mine's boring. Mine's way more boring after that, but it's K98Ks.
You were right.
Dan, boo him.
Boo.
Boo.
Like the top two are just so good they're boring, and but that's just kind of what I like. I mean,
so
you
you just went all out. You're like, it couldn't get any more boring. Oh wait, it can.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have put an M1 up there. Boom.
Yeah. Well, I like the K98K, and it's mostly, I don't know if this sounds ridiculous, but I used to just walk around the woods and stuff, and walk around like when I was doing like work outside, and I would just always grab my K98K and take it with me. And I've just had one for a long, long time, and shot enough and carried around and handled it enough that it's just like a piece of my soul now. Just everything about it just seems so well designed and thought out, and if you get one that was made by a good maker in a good year, then you have a very nice, high quality gun. And it just does what it does right. And it's just boring, you know.
It does what it does. Yep. Hard to argue with that.
And it's got a...
You need to get one of those last-ditch K98Ks, Danny.
Yeah. I've seen one of those at a gun show.
Those are just like the last-ditch Arasakas, right? Totally safe.
I mean, they are safe. But, yeah, I really...
That's why you need some of that last-ditch K98K with some of that last-ditch ammo.
Yes. I do actually need both of those things, but I have seen a VG, or was it VG98, VK98? I forgot what the abbreviations are.
Oh yeah, the VK. It's the VK.
Yeah, I saw one of those at a gun show, and it had the wrong stock on it. It's like somebody took a regular stock and tried to turn it in to one of those stocks for the gun. But yeah, it was the correct, like, numbered matching barreled receiver and everything, and it was pretty expensive. They knew what it was. I was hoping, I saw it on the rack, and I saw it, and I almost, like, it was a weird reaction when I saw it. I was excited, and I almost wanted to, like, cry and or pee my pants when I saw it. And I asked the guy with, you know, this overwhelming excitement, like, hey, what is this? How much is it? Because it didn't have a price on it. And I was hoping that he just thought it was some sporterized, you know, Mauser, and he was going to sell it for nothing. But unfortunately, he knew exactly what it was, so I did not walk away with it.
Aww.
Boo.
But yeah, K98K, man, it's Mausers. They're slim, and the way it works with the handguard not starting at the receiver. It's a fantastic rifle to grab at the receiver ring. Just grabbing it and holding it at the receiver ring. It's the perfect center of balance. I don't know, like it's weird reasons, but like that is like one of my favorite things about it. Like you grab it, you pick it up, you could hold it in one hand real easy, balances well, it shoots well, it's powerful, it'll kill anything that you need killed.
Yeah, it's great to pick it up after you've shot a bunch of rounds. Just grab that right at the receiver.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a little not so good. But I guess in the winter it'd almost be nice.
Dan, don't you agree? It's great. It's great design.
You know, I mean, they had to not put the wood there for a reason. So I guess it's not.
I'm just messing.
I know you have to dog it. I know you have to dog it, but. It's hard to, man. It's hard to. You know, a fun fact, Paul Mauser, he didn't actually, like, come out with that design in 1898. He patented all the design features of the 1898 back in 1895.
Really?
A lot of people don't know that.
98 is when they accepted it,
Well,
right?
98 is just when the Germans took it.
Right.
But,
right, but that's where everybody gets that, like, it's the 98 action.
Yeah.
That's when the Germans
it's a weird
it.
thing. So people sort of take, like, countries' years of adoptions as the specific model number. So, like, people think that, like, an 1895 Chilean is over the, you know, Swedish Mauser because it's the Swedish M94, Chilean 1895. So it's a year later, it's a year more advanced, where it's actually just the country's year of adoption. So... so like with Swedish, the M96 rifle uses the Mauser M94 action. Anywho, so to get out, I'm just going to get out of that. So the 1898 design, was patented in 1895, and whenever the Swedes were adopting their long rifles, so they adopted the carbine first for the cavalry, and then they were going to adopt the M96 long rifle for their infantry. And when they did that, Mauser actually said, like, hey, we came up with this new design. Look how cool it is. How about we just make this new design for you, for your infantry? And the Swedes said no because they didn't want to have, two whole different guns and two different systems. They wanted everything to be interchangeable. So they turned it down.
Right.
But
right. But what's funny is that it's totally interchangeable because that's what Peru did with their 1909.
Yeah.
So not a lot of people know this, but so Peru used the 1891 Argentine, which is another example there, Danny. They used those rifles, and then first time they ever purchased them was the 1909 model, which is a Gewehr 98 copy. It's an export model. But they requested that instead of it being the standard large ring, it has like a intermediary ring, or I don't even know how to describe it, but so that they could swap the barrels that they already had for the 1891s with the 1909s, so they could swap in between them. So that means that they could have done that for the Swedish. It's just the Swedish decided not to do it.
Yeah, they could have had a more advanced gun, and it would have been interesting because then it would have been the Swedes that would have had the first 1898, what we call 1898 Mauser now, but instead it's the Germans that had it. But yeah,
or it may have been a case of they didn't know how to do it at the time, and then when the Chileans or the Peruvians asked, they had a way to figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I think that's barrel interchangeability with the receiver is one thing versus bolts not working, because pretty much it would have made everything non-interchangeable between the M94 carbines and the M96 rifles that the infantry were using.
Yeah, none of the other parts would interchange. But what I'm saying is that you at least still have some limited amount.
Yeah, which probably they didn't know it at the time, but in the future, that was probably the best choice because more and more Swedish infantry units started using M94 carbines, which at that point were M94 14s. But yeah, that'd be real weird if your artillery troops had a bolt action that wasn't interchangeable with the rest of the infantry. So you need your armors need to have two whole separate parts kits to be able to work on the guns.
That sounds like a logistical fun time.
Yeah. And supposedly the Swedes, they knew that their steel was higher quality, so they were fine just with the two locking lugs instead of the three of the 98. So.
Anyway, should we move on to mine?
Yes,
Danny?
Yes. You're already. We know what it is now. We've process of elimination.
Yes, it's the L1A1 FNFA. No, I'm joking.
Why?
It's the M95.
That's a wonderful rifle.
It's the M95. I have an L1A1, yes, I do, but I do enjoy it, and it's a lot of fun. But the M95, and I'm going to include the M9530 in here, Danny, because it's just a caliber change. There's no other real changes to the rifles.
Okay.
So I'm a huge Mannlicher buff. One of the first couple rifles that I owned was an M9530 that I bought from J&G Sales for $199 plus shipping. And I still have it. It's the one I slam fired, Danny. Surprise slam fire is another great feature of M9530s.
Yeah, I saw that, the video.
It's the history, the design, the look of them, and I really have fallen in love with it, and I just can't explain it other than I want to own as many of them as I possibly can.
Huh.
Yeah.
And
like
before,
you caught it.
And before, I was like Will, Danny, and I was like, I'm gonna have one example of a caliber or one example of a gun, and then I bought another M95, and I was like, oh, maybe I should not, and then I'm like, but I like this one, I don't want to get rid of it, and then I traded for 3 or 5 more, So I'm like, oh, I guess this is my thing now.
Yeah, it's your thing. And I will say it's kind of cool, though.
They've gotten a lot more popular, and a lot of people don't necessarily agree with this, but the Battlefield 1 really pushed them into the limelight. Like, nobody was buying them before that game, really. And I know quite a few people that actually went and bought one because they used it in that game.
Really?
I mean, think of any media the past 20 years that features an M95.
Yeah.
I can't tell you another thing that would even mention it.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
And the best part about it was, though, that in the game, it was considered actually overpowered. Like, they didn't balance it properly. So it was very much used by a lot of players. So a lot of people saw it, and that's what I think elevated it out of the $100, $150, $300, or under. I would say the under $300 mark. We're just now getting to the point where $300 is about average for the short rifles, and then you're getting into the 4s and 5s for the long rifles. But like, that's just now happening, and it to me, that's amazing, because these guns are phenomenal. I just wish I wish they were in a more common caliber, but I do love 8x56R. I love the impressive smack that it gives people. I love the fact that it's the only gun I've handed to somebody at the range. He shot one round of it, handed it back to me, and said, "I'm good."
Huh.
So I have an extreme love affair of M95s.
Yeah. Well,
I love M-block clips too. Maybe I should get an M1.
I mean, probably should.
No. I could buy 3 M95s for the cost of one M1.
Well, you ready for me to make fun of your choice?
No, Dan, I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna do it's an odd, dumb caliber. It's way ridiculous straight pull. Go on. There's an open hole in the magazine, so you get that mud in there.
Yeah.
I slam fired it.
Yeah, they slam fire. I mean, all that stuff that you said. So
Yeah.
it can all be downsides. I have one, an 8x56.
And you've never shot it.
And of what? I wish I could. You're cutting out
You've never shot it.
No, I never have. I don't know why. I should have took it to the range that one day I took the 35M, but no, I haven't shot it. I know it's gonna kick hard, and it's like I don't want to. It's hard to want to bring a gun to the range that I know is going to be an unpleasant shooting experience. You know what I mean? When I have a lot of other guns that I want to shoot more. I
don't think it's that bad. I think it has an undeserved reputation.
I own it mainly just to fill that hole in my collection. It's it's cool. Yeah, Monlicker clips. Like they're fast, but yeah, just kind of all the same stuff. It's good if you have an original one, an 8x50 that has all the original parts that haven't been messed with and swapped around. Then it's good, but yeah, it's what I.
Well, that's the other problem. Is unfortunately, once again, Austria-Hungary not serializing the bolts.
And if you're gonna get if the average person is gonna get one or see one or find one. It's going to be like a 9530. It's going to be something that's been heavily messed with by probably multiple countries and maybe has been through multiple world wars like mine has and is just...
And then Bulgaria.
Yeah. So they're going to be rough. You don't know... You can't just see one and know how the bolt's going to work because the bolt could be real stiff or it could be quite not so bad.
Well, and it's funny is that most of the time when you're just cycling it on an empty chamber, it's usually pretty smooth. And you have to actually load it and fire it to see how it's going to react to that situation.
Yeah. I have dummy 8x56R rounds, and I've cycled dummy rounds through it. It's not exactly shooting, I know, because you don't get the brass expansion in the chamber, but it feels okay. It feels fine. The Mannlicher magazine system has its downfalls, and it's got its pros and cons, but yeah.
It's an oddball. It's a weird 8mm caliber. It's right up my alley.
Yes. It's a cool one is the M95Ms.
You mean the ones in 8mm Mauser that you can never find complete?
Yeah, you can every now and then you can find one. I've come across them before complete with the so just in case people don't know, like so the M95Ms, they were converted to shoot 8mm Mauser and be loaded using Mauser stripper clips. So what they had to do in order for that to work is they basically made this like in-block clip-like thing that sits inside of the magazine that the rounds feed into. And very often that part is missing. So if that's missing, your gun's not really going to work. You just kind of have a single shot. And the extractors a lot of times will break on them. So that's the...
Well, they didn't modify the extractors. They only slightly changed them. They didn't make new extractors. And the M95 system is a positive feed system. For those that don't know what that means that it has to be fed from the magazine. You cannot single load these rifles. Well, let me check that. You can single load them, but you're forcing the extractor to lip around the rim. And when it does that, you have a chance to break it. And that's the biggest problem with the M95 design for me, is that the extractors are very easily prone to breakage because it's a positive feed only system.
Yeah, so that is sort of a design flaw in it. And I mean, I feel like the gun's real close to being real good, Like if somebody made M95s like after World War I from the ground up, and they were well fitted and smooth guns, and they, used, say, 8mm Mauser or something like that wasn't rimmed, and they took a Mauser stripper clip, I guess it wouldn't really be a Mannlicher after that point. But then I
basically just get rid of everything that's unique about it, and then it'll be a better gun.
Well, like I said, you I guess I like stuff that's a little more...
Basically, I want you to make it a K98K, and then it's a better gun.
If you think about it, if you start fixing features on bolt actions, they sort of go that way, which is why your Vigero... It's a K98K patterned rifle for a reason. That's what happens. You're like, whoa, the M-block...
It existed before the K98K.
Yes, exactly, and it was turned into it. It's patterned after the K98K. They converted their old Mannlicher Schonauers into a K98K pattern rifle, which is like exactly like with what the Germans and the Hungarians did with the 9840 and the 43M. Like that's what just sort of happens when you want to improve these guns. When you want to improve a gun, like the British want to improve the Enfield, you end up making a Mauser.
You mean the Pattern 13?
Yeah.
All right, well, that was an interesting way to end this.
Yeah.
But I am very tired, and I think this is going on long
I keep
enough.
drinking whiskey, and I think I'm getting more rambly.
All right. I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and please, if you want to consider helping keep the lights on, join our Patreon, and don't forget to check out Danny's channel on our channel, I should say, Milsurp World on YouTube. Danny has had a recent series on mud testing semi-automatic rifles from World War II. We've already done the Jungmann and the SVT, and I think we're still waiting on the G43, right, Danny?
Yeah, the G43 one might be up by the time this comes up, so that'll be.
Probably in the future, but there's been a lot of controversy, right, Danny?
Yeah, a lot of shit posting about that. Which.
Actually, I do have an email, Danny. Hold on.
Oh yeah. You want to read it?
We do have an email address. It's milsurpworld@gmail.com. If you do want to email us, or you can message on Patreon, obviously. Hold on, I don't have it on my computer. I have it on my phone.
Son of a bitch.
This is from Jacques. And he said, "Hello, I just found your YouTube channel and have subscribed." Well, thank you for that. I am trying to collect an example of the main rifle used by every country militarily involved in World War II. That's a very ambitious project.
Yes.
And I would like your opinions on so far what I've been missing. So far he has an M1, a Lee Enfield No. 4, a Moss 36, and an 1886 M93 Lebel, a TS 91/24 Carcano, an Israeli VZ-24 with K98 furniture, a Finnish M39, a 9130, and a Type 99 Arasaka. It seems like he's got most of the big players here, guys. He wanted to know about... he's looking at getting a... Danny, how do you pronounce this? Chiang Kai-shek? Is that close?
Chiang Kai-shek, I think, is pronounced.
Mauser for China, and maybe a Dutch Mannlicher. Were these used by their respective countries in World War II? And my response to him, which was through Danny, was that one of those Chinese rifles or a contract Mauser, a Banner Mauser, would be an excellent choice for China. And then the Dutch Mannlichers very much were used by the Dutch and even the Germans, right, Danny? Because you have a picture.
Yeah. So there's video of the of Germans handing out Dutch Mannlichers to the Volkssturm late in the war, and there's at least one picture that I've seen of a German soldier who was a staff car driver, and he had a Dutch Mannlicher, and it's probably he kept it in the car because it was nice and short and handy, and it could fit inside the car. But there is evidence, that the Germans actually used the Mannlichers. Shanghai. As far as Chinese rifles,
drink some more whiskey.
I know I drink too much. Damn it. As far as Chinese rifles go, what I wanted to represent China in my collection was a German-made Chinese rifle. So I got it's like a German Banner rifle that's a Chinese contract. So it looks just like a K98K, except instead of like a code on the receiver, it has the Mauser Banner logo, and then it has some Chinese calligraphy burned into the stock because that's how most of them will be whenever you get it, because when the nationalists lost, the communists captured the guns and then used them. So I would say that's what I like. I would go after one of those as far as that. As far as Chinese. Now your other ones, you're gonna have to get a proper German gun now. I know you got that VZ that's sort of like your mock K98K. You're gonna have to get a proper German K98K, which is really gonna cost you.
Yep.
Yeah.
If he's going to include China, then I would think he would want to include some of the smaller players like Hungary.
Yeah, you'll want to include some of the like Hungary and Romania. They participated in the invasion of Russia, so then you'll need a Romanian contract VZ-24 probably. Hungarian 35M.
And then the 35M, a 31M, or a 43M.
Yeah.
Or a G9840, right?
Something like that, but the G9840 is mostly more German than Hungarian, but it kind of checks both off the list, sort of. Yeah. Did he say he had something Japanese? He'll want an Arasaka.
He had a Type 99.
Yeah.
All right,
he'll want an Arasaka.
So it looks like he has everything with the major players. I mean, if you wanted to get down to the nitty gritty, then you would want to have both a Canadian and an Australian.
Well, he
Lee
needs
Enfield,
an
right?
Australian number 1.
Yeah, it depends on if he wants to then get into all the Commonwealth countries. So then he would need like a Canadian, Australian, Lee Enfield, and a British Lee Enfield. For his. Oh crap! I lost track. What gun did he have?
For what? Sorry.
I'm totally losing my train of thought right now. There was one gun that he had. The Mas 36. So if he wants a French gun that's representative for France in World War II, I would actually go with the Berthier, because the French still used Berthiers, including a lot of 3-round, the 3-shot Berthiers in World War II. So you could get a nice a Berthier rifle or carbine, and that could kind of work for your World War II French as well. It could kind of fill both roles, World War I and World War II French. But I actually have, I've seen a lot, and I own one picture of German troops holding Berthier carbines, like as they're issued guns.
Huh.
Well, he already has 2 French guns, so I mean...
Yeah, but yeah, it sounds like he's on the way.
Well, I don't have anything else. Dan, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's a
Danny.
pleasure as always.
Yeah, thanks for being
Danny.
on. I bet after this one, he's probably going to not want to come on again. This one took too long, and hopefully we'll actually be able to make this one.
Should be, if Danny's not too lazy to edit it. Just kidding. So, from everybody here, I'd like to wish everybody a happy rest of your day.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. See ya.